Greetings, Fire Charging Starkblade here, and on my screen is a website called Safaria, which is an online repository of Jewish texts and sources. This is because I am going to go through tentative mentions of Jesus in the Talmud. Now, I will be searching his name in this search bar, so if there are any other tentative references that don't explicitly name him, then I'll end up missing them. By the way, I have my useful charts, early Judaism family tree chart whipped out because the Talmud is going to mention a lot of, rabbis who lived in about between the first and 5th centuries AD, and a lot of these rabbis will appear on this, this poster. So I'm going to skip these. Jesus. So this first one that I'm tapping on is Mishneh Torah at Kingston Road 1-7. Jesus of Nazareth, who aspired to be the Messiah and was executed by the court, was also alluded to in Daniel's prophecies, as Ibid 11:14 states. I am actually going to flip to Daniel 11:14 in my physical Bible here. Imagine someone making a compilation of just me Bible flipping ASMR. Please don't. I do not want to become the source of ASMR. So, chapter 14. In those days, many the vulgar among your people shall exalt themselves and attempt to fill the vision, but they shall stumble. I don't know what this is supposed to mean. From what I see, First Daniel 11:14 says, "In those times many shall rise against the king of the south, and the violent among your own people shall lift themselves in order to fulfill the vision, but they shall fail." So, I don't know what this is talking about. Can there be a greater stumbling block that Christianity that presupposes that it even is a stumbling block in the first place? So, Mishneh Torah, does it reference him? Seems to be confirmed, yeah. And ultimately, all the deeds of Jesus of Nazareth and that Ishmaelite who arose after him will only serve to prepare the way for Messiah's coming. So, this specific text was written in the 7th century or later because it is clearly post-Muhammad. About this text, author Moses ben Maimon composed Middle Ages Egypt 1176 to 1178 AD. So yeah, that's a definite reference. Next I will hit this back button and nothing will end up actually happening. Maybe if I push this arrow, more will actually happen. Avodah Zarah 17a. Where's the... Okay. I'll start off a bit early. Apropos the above discussion, which I don't have time to go through, I want context, but I don't have time to give that much context. The Gemara relates incidents involving sages who were sentenced by the ruling authorities. The sages taught when Rabbi Eliezer was arrested and charged with heresy. By the authorities, they brought him up to a tribunal to be judged. A certain judicial officer said, "Why should an elder like you engage in the frivolous matters of heresy?" So this is a person called Rabbi Eliezer, and I just want to find him here. Let me see. First I'm looking at the yellow section. The only name ID I ended up getting was Eleazar ben Hyrcanus, who was apparently the student of Yohanan ben Zakkai, who was the Abbot Dean of the Sanhedrin from 30 to 80, and also the Nasi from 70 to 80. And he was apparently a mentor of Akiva ben Joseph. So he was late 1st, early 2nd century. Rabbi Eliezer said, "The judge is trusted by me to rule correctly." The officers thought that Relia was speaking about him, but in fact, he said this only in reference to his Father in heaven. It meant that he accepted God's judgment. He was charged. If he was charged, he must have sinned to God in some manner. The officer said to him, "Since you put your trust in me, you are acquitted. Demos, you are exempt." When Rabbi Eliezer came home, his students entered to console him for being accused of heresy, and which he took as a sign of sin. And he did not accept the rules of consolation. Rabbi Akiva said to him, so I guess this is confirmation that my guess was correct. "My teacher, allow me to say one matter from all that which you taught me," Rabbi Eliezer said to him. "Speak." Rabbi Akiva said to him, "My master, perhaps some statements of heresy came before you, and you derived pleasure from it, and because of this you were held responsible by heaven." Rabbi Eliezer said to him, "Akiva, you are right, as you have reminded me about that I was once walking in the upper marketplace of Tzipori, and I found a man who was one of the disciples of Jesus the Nazarene, and his temporally this is plausible. This this is somewhat plausible, maybe depending on what exactly is meant by student. And his name was Yaakov of Kephar Sechania. He said to me, "It is written in your Torah, you shall not bring the payment to a prostitute or the price of a dog into the house of your Lord." Deuteronomy 23:19. Let me check this exactly. Deuteronomy 23. You shall not. Oh, just one different. That's 18, what it says here. What is the halacha? It is permitted to make the form of a payment to the prostitute for services rendered a bathroom for of high priest of the temple. And I said nothing to him in response. He said to me, Jesus the Nazarene taught me the following. It is permitted as derived from this verse. For the payment of a prostitute, she has gathered them; to the payments of the prostitute they shall return. Since the coins came from a place of filth, let them go to a place of filth and be used to build a bathroom. And I delivered pleasure to this statement. And due to this, I was arrested for heresy. With regards to the derivation of this verse by Jesus the Nazarene, the Gemara asks, "The sages derive from this phrase, payment to a prostitute." The Gemara answers, they explain in accordance with the opinion of Rav Hista and Rav Hist, that says, any prostitute who hires himself out to money will become so attached to this practice that ultimately, when others no longer wish to hire her, she will hire others to engage in intercourse with her, as it was stated in so I think this is probable due to the toponym and also temporal proximity. Between 57a, verse 3. Uncle Sam went and raised Balaam from the grave through necromancy. He said to them, "What is more important in the world where you are now?" Balaam said to him, "The Jewish people." Uncle asked him, "Should I then attach myself to them here in this world?" Balaam said to him, "You shall not seek their peace or their welfare all their days." Uncle said to them, "What is the punishment of a man?" A euphemism for Balaam himself is in the next world. Balaam said to him, "He is cooked in boiling semen," as he encouraged Israel to engage in licentious behavior with the daughter of Moab. 57a, that's... Okay, I'll start back here. I think this symbol indicates when a new context is starting. Gemara relates, Onkelos Bar Kalonikos, the son of Titus' sister, wanted to convert to Judaism. He went and raised Titus from the grave through necromancy, and he said, Who is most important in the world among you? Titus said to him, the Jewish people. Onkelos asked him, Should I then attach myself to them here? And so Titus said to him, Their commandments are numerous, and you will not be able to fulfill them. It is best that you do as follows. Go and battle against them in their world, and you will become chief in Israel. Her adversaries will become chief, which means anyone who distresses Israel will become the chief. What Uncle said to him, What is the punishment for that man? A euphemism for Titus himself. In the next world, Titus said to him, That which he had decreed himself against himself as he suffered. Every day his ashes are gathered, and they judge him and burn him, and they scatter him over the seas. Okay, so this is topically related to the previous one because it also mentions Titus. And next is Onkelos then went and raised Jesus the Nazarene through necromancy. Onkelos said to him, Who is the most important in the world where you are now? Jesus said to him, the Jewish people. Onkelos asked him, Should I then attach myself to them? In this world, Jesus said to him, Their welfare you shall seek, their misfortune you shall not seek. For anyone who touches them is regarded as if he were touching the apple of his eye. See Zechariah 2:12. Uncle says to him, What is the punishment of this man? A euphemism for Jesus himself in the next world. Jesus said to them, He is punished with boiling excrement, as the master said, Anyone who mocks the words of the sages will be sentenced to boiling excrement, and that was his sin, as he mocked the words of the sages. The Gemara concludes, Come, let us see the difference between the sinners of Israel and the prophets of the world. And Balaam, who was a prophet, wished Israel harm, whereas Jesus, the Jewish sinner, the Nazarene, was a Jewish sinner who sought their well-being. Now I will be direct. This story does indeed include about this tax, get him, Talmud Babylon 450, 550 AD does indeed contain what seems, but from my Christian perspective, would be blasphemous. I am not going to deny that this individual story does contain in that which Christians should consider blasphemy. At least the ending or the last sentence of that wasn't that egregious or great. Now I have to go back to the search bar because something happened. Sanhedrin 107b. The sages taught, always have the left hand drive the sinners away from the right, draw them near so that the sinner will not totally despair of the announcement. This was unlike Elisha, who pushed away Gehazi with his two hands and caused him to share in the world to come, and unlike Yahusha ben Parahya, who pushed Jesus the Nazarene with his two hands. Elisha drove. This isn't matter. Rabbi Yitzhak. Still talking about Gehazi. What is the incident involving in Yehoshua ben Pariah? The Gemara states, when King Yani was killing the sages, I don't know if that's a reference to Yehoshua ben Pariah and Jesus, his student, went to Alexandria of Egypt. When there was a peace between King Yani and the sages, Shimon ben Satah sent a message to Yehoshua ben Pariah. From me, Jerusalem, the holy city, to you, Alexandria of Egypt, my sister, my husband is located among you, and I sit desolate. Just the message came and happened to arrive at a certain inn on the way to Jerusalem. They treated him with great honor. Yehoshua ben Pariah said, how beautiful is this inn? Jesus soon said to him, but teacher, the eyes of the innkeeper's wife are narrow. Yehoshua said to him, wicked one, do you involve yourself with regard to that matter? For the appearance of a married woman, he produced 400 shofarot and ostracized him. He came before Yehoshua and Pariah and said to him, accept our repentance. Yehoshua ben Pariah took no notice of him. One day he was reciting Shema, and Jesus said to him with the same request. Yehoshua ben Pariah intended to accept his request and signal him with his hand and wait until he completed his prayer. Jesus did not understand the signal and thought, he is driving me away. He went on and stood brick upright to serve as an idol, and he bowed to it. The master says he's performed sorcery, has incited Jews to engage in idolatry, and led Israel astray, and not caused them to despair. He would never. So let me actually find out who this person is. Right, so we got second generation 140 to 100 BC. 140 to 100 BC is the person who wrote this section even trying. This is legitimately hilarious. It's like 100 years out of time sync. That is comical. And this section was written about this tax in 450 to 550 AD. Yeah, this is like everything past a certain amount of time ago just blends together, because this is quite the anachronism. And given this glaring anachronism, it is possible that this entire story was meant as purely didactical or polemic or something, and not intended to be presented as something that actually happened, which it didn't. So tau 47A6, that seems like a duplicate. Yeah, it's a duplicate. This appears in Torah, Torah study should only be taught to a proper student once his deeds are tracked. So apparently this exact picture has Jesus standing up a brick and worshipping it in the hotel managed to find itself in 2 different places. This is hilarious. Anyway, since it's almost midnight, I will end this video. I will see you tomorrow, or technically later today because of how long it'll take for this video to end up actually being posted, and maybe continue this series. First, let me scroll up to see 813 results. And look, but I have a filter. Turn off that filter. Mishnah Sanhedrin. Yeah. Tonight comes in. Maybe I can use this filter more. That's all for this video. I'll see you dark played out. Thanks for watching.